Good morning everyone. MMDA back on the road. You see right now they're on Scout Borromeo. They're ticketing illegally parked vehicles. Many drivers have run out to their cars. Those are just being given tickets and then allowed to leave. This is part of the priority for the Mabuhay lanes to decongest EDSA. You'll see the enforcer here taking a photo as evidence for an illegally parked vehicle unattended. It has a plate holder that says NBI, but most of the time that's just a regular person that wants to mislead other people on the road, try and scare enforcers away. You can see the ticket's been left on the windscreen. Unattended illegal parking. So over here is actually a fire hydrant surrounded by vehicles. The problem with that is that when the fire engine comes here, they might have problems connecting their hoses. Imagine how many buildings, even lives could be lost if the firemen can't hook up to this. It looks like SCOG will actually be the ones to come in and clear this, what appears to be an abandoned motorcycle. Unfortunately, no one came out to claim this motorcycle, so it will be put on the back of the tow truck so that it's away from the fire hydrant. There's a couple motorcycles here on the sidewalk. They've already been ticketed, but they didn't move them, so they're just reminding them after the ticket you still have to move the motorcycle or car, whatever it is. So it looks like in this case the enforcers would just move it for themselves, put it on the easement, because on the easement you won't have a problem. It's only on the sidewalk or the road that you're going to have a problem. Some of the local business owners have been complaining about this truck. They said it's actually been parked here for a very long time, and apparently there's people living underneath the truck, so they're asking if it can be removed. You will see the people over here. Of course I'll blur their faces for privacy, but yeah, apparently they're living underneath this truck. In the past we have seen vehicles towed away if they believe they were abandoned, because the idea of these parking spaces is that you come and go. It's not long-term parking where you could leave a vehicle for months, weeks, years. And one more vehicle being ticketed here. It's actually very close to the pedestrian crossing. The problem with that is that when you go to cross the road, a vehicle that's coming from this direction might not see you because you're obscured by this parked vehicle. Aside from the fact that you're really not allowed to park there anyway, regardless of the pedestrian crossing here. And over here one more vehicle that will be ticketed. Hopefully the driver will come out and move it, but I can see there is a steering wheel lock installed, so my guess is that the plan is to leave it here for quite a while. This bus was originally stopped because of an improvised license plate. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to show an authorization to use that plate, and when they check the registration, it says the plate has been released by LTO, so they are writing out a ticket now for the improvised plates. You'll see a lot more vehicles being ticketed over here for unattended illegal parking, 2,000 pesos. A lot of people buy cars, but they don't have anywhere to park them. And when there's coding, they buy a second car. They don't have anywhere to park that either. So you end up with more illegally parked vehicles, more traffic, more problems. Another one written out here, put it under the windscreen wiper and then move on. It's kind of unfortunate if you come out and find an expensive ticket on your windscreen, but it's really not allowed to park here. And I'm sure some people will ask, are there signages? Yes, no parking, tow-away zone. And they just stopped this female motorcycle rider. Very nice motorcycle, but unfortunately driving in slippers and no helmet, which is quite incredible, no helmet. So he'll just write out the ticket and then send her on her way. The idea is the bike will be pushed or parked until she gets a helmet. And right now they're issuing a ticket to this vehicle, obstructing the sidewalk. Pretty cool fan that they've installed on the side of the property there. Suck in some cool air without spending a lot of money on an aircon. Pretty cool. You'll see most of the vehicles on this road are really SUV. So again, another ticket being written here. Leave it under the windscreen wiper. And two more vehicles over here being ticketed. It looks like most of the drivers are coming out and moving their vehicles immediately. I guess they want to avoid being towed away. You see right now Bong speaking to the security guard at this property, basically advising him not to allow vehicles to park on the sidewalk, obstructing the sidewalk. Although the reality is that security guards sometimes don't have a choice. The property owner might say, you allow people to park there, and then if he doesn't comply, maybe they'll just ask the agency to swap him out. So it can be difficult even for security guards. I think really only a very compact vehicle could fit in that space without obstructing the sidewalk, or they parallel park. Here's one of the things that make you wonder about clearing operations. Even when the sidewalk's clear, people are walking in the road. Although sometimes it's because of things like this, where the sidewalk goes up, down, up, down, up, down. People get tired of walking like that. Here's another example of the very extreme sidewalk. I don't know if the camera really portrays, but look at the height of that. If you're a pedestrian that has to keep going up and down, you're really going to get tired and probably just walk in the road itself. And that's really the problem when property owners adjust the sidewalk to suit their business instead of to suit pedestrians. Over here you see one more vehicle being ticketed for obstructing the sidewalk. The crazy thing is, if he just drove forward another couple of feet, he wouldn't have obstructed the sidewalk and he wouldn't have been given a ticket. So it is something that drivers need to be aware of. You can see that this is obviously a sidewalk for pedestrians. Anyway, he's written out the ticket. We'll just leave it under the windscreen wiper. That is 2,000 pesos, which is, that's a pretty fair amount. That's a lot of money to a lot of people. In this part of QC, the sidewalk's on the inside and then the parking is over here. So all of these vehicles parked here, no problems. They're in the proper allocated spaces. But this area here is really the sidewalk for pedestrians. You see there's another motorcycle over here also being ticketed. There's actually some open spaces over here. It would really be better to just park here and then walk to your destination. It's only how many meters? 20 meters, 30 meters? And then you won't get ticketed. I know that sometimes property owners will say, you can't park there, those are our parking spaces. But actually these are owned by the city. This is not private property, this is government property. So anyone can park here. You cannot reserve these parking spaces. You may remember before, the MMDA kept removing barriers, bollards, tires that people would put out to try and reserve these spaces. Because they're not reservable, they're public property, anybody can use these parking spaces. You'll see this older gentleman is walking in the road. Why? Look at the sidewalk, absolutely covered in garbage. I just don't know if it's really the residents that are making this mess, or perhaps scavengers that collect the garbage, go through it to remove recyclables and anything else of value, and then leaving it here. But I just feel bad for the garbage men, because they're going to come along and they're going to have to clean up all of this. Most of the time they don't have gloves or anything like that to protect themselves. So yeah, this is really not a good thing to see.